It's our tradition, you know. Fuck it. Get the fuck out of here. Alright. Hello, everybody. A little different than last time. For those of you who don't know what that whole song and dance was about, that's from our priest PPE. We are wearing a different fit this time. I think last time, I just had a leather jacket on. It's just off screen over there. I have to move back quite a lot because the camera... I got this tailored a little bit ago. So I talked about it a lot through our recent Shiny Only Sorcerer. But last Friday, I interviewed for a doctoral program in psychology. And wow, lighting's not really good for my eye bags. I promise it does not look that bad. This is a $30 camera, by the way. Sorry. I got in. I got in 1 weekend. That was a very impressive, fast turnaround. So I figure now would be a really good time to actually, talk a little bit about me. This is very non-scripted, so I do apologize for that. I have an interest in sleep and circadian sciences. I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. Ever since my undergraduate, about 3 years ago. I have an interest in closed-loop ultrasound for neuromodulation. So I'm lucky enough that I'm in a current position. I should turn my fan on. It's really warm in here. I currently have a neat little intersection of both of those. And I'm looking to pursue that into my doctoral program. I have a background in EEG and, that form of brain mapping. I'm getting a little bit more into MRI now. Through the ultrasound, you require MRI readings for ultrasound because you need to know where you're targeting and you need skull porosity. So there's that. Now let's move on to the more interesting part of this. Kind of a reflection on, the YouTube in general. Let's pull this up. Let's go do this. Can I? Is it that? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Let's see how this looks. Nope. Okay. Okay. So this will be slightly cut off. Sorry about that. Can I hide any of this? I'm subscribed to Markiplier. Sweet. Yeah, okay. Very clearly, this is not been extensively tested. Let's do this. Okay. Let's look through. It's been a long time since I've felt very self-reflective on the state of the channel. Oh, shit. Actually, no. One last thing. You can just ignore that real quick. So another part of when we had done this for the priest... is I'd opened some wine. That was the first ever real grape wine that I had made. It was a Pinot Noir. It was okay. It was solid. I didn't mind it. Now it's in an unlabeled bottle. Here's our cork. I just opened it for you guys just for the inconvenience. This is pretty young. This is only about 9 months old. That one was only I think 4. This is a 62% Cabernet Franc, 67% Merlot. Actually, this whiteboard over here, this is going to be reversed, I think. So sorry. These are my notes for it. I'd originally started one part of it back in September. The Cabernet Franc part was in September, but the Merlot was all the way back in June. So this is quite old. Not really. It's not really. Whatever. This glass has never been used before. I bought a twin set of these things a while back, and I saved this one for the doctoral program if I got accepted. This as well. So this has been sitting in the back of my closet for as soon as I put it in the bottle and I put it away. So there we go. Really nice, rich color. I have had quite a few of these before. I had made probably about 15 of these bottles. But I'd kind of just burned through a lot of it because I actually wasn't really a huge fan of this stuff at first, to be honest. It grew on me. It needed to age, definitely, a little bit. I want to twirl this when I'm scared that I'll splash it all over these pants, and these pants are $450. So if we look, by the way, a little bit of a winemaking thing for you guys, looking at the rim there, something that had been aged for longer, that would be a much darker color. But right now it's a really pretty ruby garnet. Okay, that's fantastic. Holy shit. That is a lot better than it was 5 months ago. Wow. Like, genuinely, wow. I'm actually kind of... Anyways, not the point of the video, but wow. So we'll turn that off. Let's go look. So, I joined this channel a long time ago. What is that? 8 years ago? We are just over 8 years into this channel. Wow. I would have been, what? How old would I have been 8 years ago? I'm 20. I just turned 23. Yeah, wow. Holy shit, it's been... Wow, I'm sorry. That just really... That really hit me all at once. I've been doing this for 8 years. Holy shit. I was 15. Wow. Anyways, so I've uploaded 275 videos, and we are just shy of 2 million views on this channel. Holy shit. I should probably pull this up on my phone. Just, you know, actually, I could probably use the analytics page. I actually don't know if you're allowed to do that. But I'll pull this up on my phone just because that's a little bit easier for me as well. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I do make money off of this. In total, across the entire time that I've been doing this, I have made $6,500. I started getting monetized back in April of 2020. So that's around when I hit 1,000 subscribers. Naturally, as you can all figure, the bulk of my time here has been with Realm of the Mad God. This is the game that I've been playing for this entire time. I wanted to do YouTube for this game. My oldest video here, 5,000 views. I remember saying to myself, holy shit, this is it. You know, there was never a doubt that in some way and somehow this was the way forward. I had been doing YouTube, God, since I was maybe 9 years old, right? And the thing about that is, after a while of just recording shitty Minecraft Pocket Edition videos on an app that barely works, you kind of start to think to yourself, this is a stupid hobby, you know? And I'm not saying we're famous by any metric, not at all, but I'm getting my fucking PhD and I'm sitting here talking about a YouTube channel. That in and of itself is a really interesting thing. I did have older videos, by the way. I had actually played through pretty much the entirety of the old Terraria Death mode a while back.
So much worse than you
I need to turn up my volume on this. Does that work? Nope, it's broken. Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah, so basically, I had been doing commentary.
Show of hands, how many people thought I'd quit before this point?
I had been doing commentary for a while, and you can kind of hear there. I've sounded very consistent. Let me actually just plug in a pair of headphones for this. Obviously, this is very unscripted. Also, hang on. Look at my fucking YouTube recommended. What the fuck? Is that it's a how fascism took over Roblox. You gotta watch that.
Hands.
But yeah.
I honestly thought you quit at Planetarium.
I expected.
I expected basically.
This is 7 years old. This is me when I was 16 years old, playing this game, and I kind of sound-ish similar. You know, that's definitely I sound a bit better now, but I knew who I was from a young age. You know, Maddie knew who she was from me. I've never seen Euphoria, and I won't. You know, I think one of the most interesting things to kind of look at across, especially these first couple years, is there a lot of growth happened, and even up until, you know, I think I really hit my mark back in, I want to say around 2023. But a lot of the people who watch me now aren't familiar with this side. So my very first video, we can check here. I probably have to mute this because it's copyrighted. Look, this is the original game. I don't know if any of you guys saw the original Realm of the Mad God. My name didn't even used to be Puberty. My name used to be Asshat Matt, and I changed it. Let's just adjust this a little bit. Nope, that's not gonna work. Sorry, this is real. Man, I have no idea what I'm doing. Does that work? I don't know. You know what? Hang on. Let's just Eh. It won't be cropped very well. Oh, man, you know what? Hang on. Give me a minute. Let me just fucking fix this. Okay, well, there's pretty much no way to make this perfect, so we'll go with this. Anyways, so I used to be a part of a different guild called Spoicy Boys. Originally, I had jumped around between quite a few guilds. I was a 44 star. I was objectively bad at the game. I think I had a legendary pet at this point. But I remember the end of this video. This is our fit. This is what I'm rocking. At the end of a fucking 13-minute long video, I'm rocking shit like this, you know? Ugh. So, safe to say, the early game, the early days of puberty Rotmug had a lot of required growth, is the way that we'll put it. And it took a while. It really, really, really took a while. I remember a lot of these early videos, and I think this is the first 8.8 I ever had. And you can tell the thumbnails. My thumbnails went through quite a few different iterations. Back then, I was using Photoshop. I've been using a pirated version of Photoshop since the start. But the biggest thing that you'll notice is a lot of the items are pretty small. You have this marble sword here, and you can kind of see how it looks. Oh, hang on. Whoops. It looks bad, you know? And the reason for that is I didn't know enough about using Photoshop at all to get something like that to work. I mean, I didn't know anything about, like, what's the term? There's a term for it, like edge mapping almost. Edge mapping was my nickname in high school. Anything like that. These thumbnails are very basic. It's very interesting looking at this samurai right here. I almost came back around to this type of thumbnail eventually. Oh my god. The name in this channel didn't even used to be Puberty. It used to be Toasted Marshmallow. That's the name I used to have. And so anyways, I was rocking through a lot of these early characters, you know, whatever. And then really around here is a turning point. We have this night PPE that I had been running, and this is when I started to kind of take it seriously. I mean, look, the thumbnail is horrible. That is an abhorrently bad thumbnail. But it was the longest project I'd had. It was only like 10,000 fame or whatever by the end of the video. And there's that, you know. But at its core, a lot of these early videos were the same thing. They were the same way that a lot of people do PPE videos. They were anonymous. They were, you know, only, you know, whatever. Just music, right? The way that everybody does this. And that way worked. For a very, very long time, that way worked for me. I had always wanted to do more with commentary, but I just never really had the gusto for it or the commitment or anything. But eventually that really did change. I started doing new account experiences. So we can see here we have Yard Sale. Yard Sale is the first... That's it. That's the first new account experience that I had done because I remember seeing a yard sale sign and going, that would be a good account name. And that was it. You know, that sparked what ended up being both the best and the worst decision I have ever made. I'm kidding, really. Probably the most fundamental change I've made to this, and the reason we're here today is because I started doing these. So I kind of coasted along for a little while, you know, just kind of doing random bullshit. I do remember this Priest PPE really liking this. I remember this being a very fun character the first time I really played Priest. This is something I look back on and laugh. I called this the almost perfect Sorcerer PPE, and it was shit. But 5 years ago, nearly, is when things really started to change. We started posting the first new account experiences. And you can see the thumbnails, really basic. I was experimenting with a new style. You know, that this is around the time I started really doing the blurred backgrounds that I had, really past tense. I'm glad I don't do this anymore. I really am glad. But you can kind of see a lot of the style that I have now had started to take shape somewhat early on. And these videos were performing a lot better than they are now, you know, which is entirely my fault. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. But I started doing these commentary videos. I don't remember entirely how I was doing them back then, but around this point, I had switched, you can see, from, I used to use Bandicam. So if you look at you know, the style here, it's full screen, but it's really fucking stretched. And somewhere around here, it may have been this, honestly. I genuinely think that may have been the turning point. Was it? Can you let me mouse over some of these? No, it was a sorcerer. Yeah. Or I guess this one. Yeah. Playing sorcerer, this character, I didn't even realize it until now. I switched over to OBS. And that in and of itself, great decision. I used to use a pirated version of Bandicam, and then I finally bought it. And then eventually it stopped working for me because I didn't like having to pause and unpause my recording. I liked being able to constantly record. And that made new account experiences. That's really what kind of made a lot of this work for me. So I continued kind of throughout, you know, these last couple months or here, just, you know, doing these things. This used to be my highest viewed video, the Archer PPE. I actually don't know what my highest viewed video is. Around that point, yeah, here's where we hit 2,000 subscribers. So at this point, yeah, I had been making money for quite a little bit at this point. I think, yeah, if I started around like April, when did I hit 2,000? Okay, I don't think it says. May 1st. Wow, okay. So, you know, evidently these things really kind of blew me up. You know, I think in a lot of ways, yeah, these were what put me on the map. And I think, yeah, it stopped around episode 14. Now, as many of you know, that is a staple. That is a staple of this account. Is I'll start one of these things and I'll just bail. And that's totally fine. Yeah, so this kind of is when I started with my obsession with night PBEs. I still, to this day, at some point, I need to go do a night PPE. I think after this season, I'm going to probably do one. But yeah, so we continued throughout the next couple months to do more new account experiences. Here we go. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, what the fuck is that thumbnail? What the fuck is that? Did we continue with this one? Maybe we did. I don't know. If it's in Month of the Mad God, no. The one I completed would have been in fall of 2022, I believe it. I wonder what this video is. I'm pretty sure this is literally nothing important at all. I don't know what that is. Yeah, either way, I need to sneeze. I don't know what this is at all, by the way. Not a clue. I think this is Ergosphere. Is it not? I don't know. At some point, I had done a night NPE. And I remember really liking that. Yeah, I do remember what this is. You know what? This is my... Yeah, this is Ergosphere. This is my senior year of high school. This was right before I left for college. Oh, God, I remember. Yeah, I was... Yeah. Oh, wow, crazy. So we started to see a little bit of a thumbnail change. I actually really... This is a really simplistic one, this warrior and this paladin underneath it, and the mystic. But I actually really like these thumbnails, looking back on them. For something about the design really kind of spoke to me, and it still does. Here is what I think is our highest viewed video now. This paladin. This is probably one of the most sentimental characters I have. I really deeply love this character. And I kind of wish that I had, I'd like to, do another paladin. 24-hour priest PPE. We just completed another 24-hour PPE. We played Minecraft for a little bit. I have more Minecraft to talk about later. I just spent a little while kind of screwing around, but here we go. Down here at Bard, this is where I started to understand how to fucking work thumbnails. This is where I finally started to do more of it. And now here is a question that when I told people in my Discord I was getting into a PhD program, they had said, oh shit, that's it. And that brings me back to this video, Best of Pewdie Rotberg. I was convinced, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? Get me off. I was convinced that I would have no time whatsoever, to do YouTube. And so I was convinced, like, going into college, that I would quit. And then I very obviously didn't fucking quit. So here's my thing to you all. I don't know. You guys have seen me take very long breaks and completely disappear, and then I still come back and do content. I don't know. The program I'm going into, I'm not going into clinical psychology, by the way. I'm going into a research-oriented program. I'm going into a program that doesn't have you do that internship that you have to do for that. I won't be a board-certified psychologist, anything like that. I could respecialize into it in the future if I wanted to, but as of who I am right now, I'd really rather more go into something research-based or go into industry. So there's that. So the long and short of that is I don't know. We started screwing around for another couple years. I hated this character so much, and I hate Kensei, really, as a class. Yeah, I don't know. Some more people started to join the Discord at this point. This is where a lot of zealous YouTubers for a while was split into old gens and new gens. And it's so bizarre now to think about the fact that, no, I've known all of these people for years, but there have been people who have been here basically since the start. I think maybe the 8th video is when I would join Z-listers, and there was a core cast of some of them. And I still speak to these people, by the way. I don't even mean that in like every once in a while. I mean, these are my best friends. I mean, people tend to sit here, and I was a very mentally ill teenager in a lot of ways. I was struggling a lot with so many things. And people tend to say things about passion projects like this, where I wish I could sit here and say, Realm of the Mad God saved my life. That's not true. The people that I met through this game saved my life. The connections I built with them, who they were and who they continue to be for me today, saved my life when I was 16 years old. And I cannot overstate that enough. Seriously. It has been one of the best decisions I've ever made, was to see where this stupid little project would go, because the people I've met. The very first person I told about this before my family, before anyone, was one of these people, because I had told him for a long time that I would tell him first. And I stuck good on that, because these are some of my best friends. They're some of the best and worst people I've ever met, and I met all of them through this game. So tell your friends you love them, I guess. Anyways, moving on. I remember this character a lot. This is when I started really locking in on night PPEs, when I started to go for full exalting. And I thought this was really good at the time. And it was. I had like 80k or whatever. And then we did a little better later. We played Wizard for a little while. This is actually where my channel icon came from. It came from these videos. So I really need to change my actual thing. It's still the Exalted Paladin, because I like Paladin. But yeah, I don't know. We can see a little bit more thumbnail work here, which I really like. And then comes what I have to say is probably the best thing I've ever put out to YouTube ever. Will, Eric, and I sat down and we played the Better Minecraft mod pack. And it took us an entire week to blast this shit out. For some reason, the last episode never ended up seeing air. I have no idea why. But this was so fucking fun. The three of us got so biblically sick afterwards, though. But we were legitimately 12 hours a day. I didn't go to class. I didn't go to work. I just sat and played this mod with them. This in particular, the Everbright and the Everdawn, this was probably one of the most hellish things that I've ever done in a video game ever. I'm serious. That was horrible. I think they got rid of it in the mod pack. But at the time, it was painful. It's 56 hours. That was the highest amount of footage I've ever had for a single video ever. That 56 hours encompassed, I want to say, 2 or 3 days worth of work, and I'm pretty sure I was there straight. I'm pretty sure it was something somewhat close to 36 hours. We got really fucking sick afterwards. We continued through the new account experience stuff. This is when I started completing Shatters, actually. Which is really cool. It's cool to watch me progress. I don't think I'm nearly as much an endgame player now. I never bothered to learn Umi. But this was probably the height of my skill relative to the rest of the game. We continued throughout this, and here we go. The new account experience that we actually bothered to complete. Was this phenylalanine? Yes. I still own phenylalanine, by the way. I'm pretty sure I can get the login back at some point. But this took us up through fall of 2022. Now, at the same time, on July 4th of this year, I randomly started a night PPE, and that ended up being the best character I will ever make. I would like to say that, especially with the added pressure of me trying to get, of me going into a doctoral program, I can't believe that. There's added pressure to beat it. I don't think so. I really don't. But this new account experience was a very long commitment, and it was rough. I will say this was a little rough. I was so busy. I'd actually my current job. I was here as a research assistant at the time. So at the same time I was doing all of this, I was doing that, and it was a really easy job back then. I'm a study coordinator now, so I'm really more of a manager and a scientist than anything else. But here's part one. This is if any of you haven't seen it, this is an hour-long video. I made $180 off of this. Thanks. So we continued throughout the rest of the year to do the new account experience. And this was great. Seriously, I was done with it by the end. I was really, really fucking done with it. I was exhausted. I was burned out. It was very repetitive. But ultimately, I do really regard it as a good experience. It actually paid for my tuition, by the way. The money I said earlier, about a third of that was from this semester. Part 2 of the night PPE, we did eventually die. I actually really like this thumbnail, by the way. I'm a huge fan of this thumbnail. I don't know why. I continued doing commentary for a while. Things I wasn't really... I didn't really like either of them. I was trying to do something niche, but that wasn't the new account experience. So we did dungeons, like dungeons in the completion order. I didn't really enjoy that at all, to be honest. We played Summoner for a while. I did Suicide that, and then started the slop era. This was a flop era for me. 2 years ago, I really think that 2024 was probably the lowest point I've ever had with this game. I was tired of the game loop. I was deeply, deeply dissatisfied with it. I had just graduated, so I was working a job that I hated in health insurance. I was really, really not feeling this game at all. I didn't enjoy anything about this series. I wasn't excited to do it. And I think that's fine. I think it's fine to be honest and look back on that and say that I didn't really want to do any of this. I don't know. I was really fine with that. We did try to do some more commentary, but again, I was just kind of forcing myself at this point to do things that I didn't really want to do. And I don't know. I think it shows. I think it really showed. I wasn't enthusiastic. We started doing a bit more different stuff. I did the first drinking video. This was actually the first face reveal. Let's pull this up. Why don't we? Let's do a side by side between. Actually, this would have been 2023, wouldn't it? Yeah, this would have been 2023. Jesus Christ. So that can I pause on a better fucking whatever. Okay, so I still have the same headphones, by the way. So that's me then, and this is me now. I look the same mostly. The beard really helped. I really think in a lot of ways, and this was somewhat new. You can kind of tell. I really only started when I made the winemaking video back in May or so is when I started growing out a beard. For a long time I was mostly clean shaven. One of the best decisions I think I've ever really made in my life was to not be clean shaven anymore. I really in hindsight, this was bad. Oh no! Get that out of here. That was bad. That was really bad, and I was just walking around looking like that. I need another drink. Whew. I put a stopper in this thing. Hang on. Oh my god. Yeah. No. That was bad. That was a really bad time. We did another drinking video, and I just mostly screwed around at this point. Here we go. This is it. This priest PPE in a lot of ways was when I started getting back into the game. This was the upswing. This would have been the beginning of 2024. There we go. Yeah, I think, would it have been? No, this would have been. When the fuck did I do this? When did I do this? I thought it was. Yeah, this was the beginning of 2025. I pretty much completely disappeared for the entirety of 2024. At least I repressed it out of my memory. I don't really remember any of this. at all. I just so out of the game at that point. But this Priest PPE, the beginning of 2025, was really the climb back up. I enjoyed this character. I typically in the past, if I had died like how I did around episode 5, I would have quit. But I wanted to see where this went. I'm so deeply glad that I did this. Seriously, I think realistically in a lot of ways, this series has been the proudest I've been of anything on this channel. Like the Night PPE was great. And I really, really liked that. And I liked how much of a turning point it was for me as a committal player to the game. But I think what I had worked towards with this was such a huge thing for me. And I'm very happy I did this. I'm very happy I exalted Priest. I remember how proud I was at this. Deca gave me 5,000 gold to try and get a shiny Fallen, and I never did. I never got that. Here's what we were talking about at the very beginning of the video, by the way. I'll turn this on. Don't give me an ad. I have an ad blocker. Hello? Hello, my Wi-Fi's not bad.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we did everything we could.
Concord. That's a Black Country New Road reference.
As for this character, 78,000 fame to by.
Can
We fucking
yeah,
did it.
there's
We
me.
exalted our shit.
So that's somewhere. Okay, whatever. Let's just get rid of that. That's somewhere right in the middle between where I was the first time I showed this and where I am now. We had another new account again that I didn't really commit to. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. What had happened with this one, because people keep asking about Hatopelagic. First off, I was playing out of my fucking mind. This was a crazy fucking account. I'm serious. I was so unbelievably locked in for Hatopelagic in a huge way. But I spent the entirety of my fall semester rubber banding, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I got really, really fucking fed up. I didn't really want to play. And truth be told, I don't really want to go back to it now. And here we are. We are up to the present moment. I need to go upload the last of the shiny only PPE tomorrow. Spoilers, just realized that. I die in episode 10. That's not a big deal, though, because new season starts tomorrow, and I will be doing Druid for that. I'm pretty sure it comes out. But that was a really long, rambling history of who I am as a... Let's take that off. Get a little... whatever. That's me. YouTube has been deeply, deeply ingrained with who I am for the last couple years, especially around 2020. I have never, especially within the realm of the Mad God community, I have never really considered myself, famous. I think that I'm lucky enough that I had made the right decisions with this game at the right time. And I knew the right people, honestly. I mean, I had the right set of friend groups. I had the right friends who made me want to continue to play the game. Little Kirby back there, by the way. And I've never really considered myself a great commentator at this game. I think I'm very practical in the way that I talk about this game. I think I've found my niche. I'm a lot more comfortable with it now than I was when I first really started doing commentary back in 2020. I enjoy it a lot more now. I don't think this has ever really fully happened before. I leave one commentary series and I'm ready to jump back in another one. I'm really excited to go do another one. And I think that's a really interesting, sign of growth for me. But yeah, so that's it. I will be starting my PhD in psychology in the fall. We'll see what happens until then. At least up until then, I want to push out as many of these series as possible. I want to make up for lost time. And now that I know that, hey, I can just continue with my current job and what I do as a study coordinator up until then, it's not really a rush to do anything else. If I get burned out, I get burned out. But I've really deeply enjoyed the community I've built and the people I've met and the shit you guys have allowed me to do with this. Really, this has been such a great experience to have, and because of where I'm at with it, I don't want to just sit there and say I'm doing my PhD. See you later. It's a we'll see. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a very, very stream of consciousness sort of thing. I obviously did not expect to get in today at all. I was, truth be told, I was confident I would get in. I had a very, very strong feeling. Too many people who I've been doing science longer than I've been alive told me to my face, you're gonna get in. So I'm not surprised. I'm incredibly thankful to the amount of people, the postdoctorals, the research scientists, the PIs I've known who have given me the opportunity to be where I'm at now, to trust me, to be who I am. And I'm grateful to myself, truth be told, more than a lot of other things, especially who I was when I was younger, when I started this, and who I am now. The propensity for growth that I've had has been incredible. Really more of, as a scientist as well. When I was promoted back in October, I remember, and I still think about this a lot, I could never have done my current job like a year ago. Not at all. The technical knowledge and the decision making that I have now has been a very slow skill to learn, but it's come through. Regardless, thank you guys for coming. This has been great, and yeah, I'll see you all soon.